Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today, quote of the day is, with a new day comes new strengths and the new thoughts. Assalamualaikum everyone. I am Dr. Shajia Javed, PGR Community Medicine, and I am going to do critical appraisal of a GBD article according to the Gather checklist under the supervision of Professor Dr. Saira Afzal. This is the Gather checklist according to which we are going to do this critical appraisal. The topic of our article is forecasting the effect of smoking prevalence scenarios on the years of our life lost and the life expectancy from 2022 to 2050, a systematic analysis for the global burden of the disease study 2021. First, I'm going to read the whole abstract. Background. Smoking is the leading behavioral risk factor for mortality globally, accounting for more than 175 million deaths and nearly 4.30 billion years of the life lost from 1990 to 2021. The pace of decline in smoking prevalence has slowed in the recent year for many countries, and all the strategies have recently been proposed to achieve tobacco-free generation and have been implemented to date, assessing what could happen if the current trends in smoking prevalence persist and what could happen if additional smoking prevalence reduction occurs. It is important for communicating the effects of potential smoking policies. And the methods. In this analysis, we use the Institute of the Health Metrics and Evaluation Future Health Scenario platform to forecast the effect of the three smoking prevalence scenario on all cause and the cause-specific years of the life loss and the life expectancy at birth until 2050. The years of the life loss were computed for each scenario using the Global Burden of the Disease Study 2021, reference life tables, and forecast of the cause-specific mortality under each scenario. The reference scenario forecasts what could occur if the past smoking prevalence and the other risk factor trends continue. The tobacco smoking elimination as of 2023 elimination scenario, it quantifies the maximum potential future health benefits from assuming 0% smoking prevalence from 2023 onwards, whereas the tobacco smoking elimination by 2050, elimination 2050 scenario provides estimate for the countries which are considering policies to steadily reduce smoking prevalence to 5%. Together, these scenarios underscore the magnitude of the health benefit that could be reached by 2050 if the countries take decisive action to eliminate smoking. The 95 uncertainty interval of estimate is based on 2.5 and the 97.5 percentile of the odds that were carried to the multi-stage computational framework. Findings. Global age standardized smoking prevalence was estimated to be 28.5 among males and 5.96 among females in 2022. In the reference scenario, smoking prevalence declined by 25.9 among males and 30% among females from 2022 to 2050. Under this scenario, we forecast a cumulative 29.3 billion overall years of the life lost among males and 22.2 billion years of the life lost among females over this period. Life expectancy and birth under this scenario would increase from 73.6 years in 2022 to 78.3 years in 2050. Under our elimination 2023 scenario, we forecast 2.04 billion fewer cumulative years of the life lost by 2050 compared with the reference scenario, and the life expectancy at the birth would increase to 77.6 among males and 81 years among females. Under our elimination 2050 scenario, we forecast 735 million and 141 million cumulative years of the life loss, which would be avoided among males and the females respectively. Life expectancy in 2050 would increase to 77.1 years among males and 80.8 years among females. Interpretation. Existing tobacco policy must be maintained if smoking prevalence is to continue to decline as forecasted by the reference scenario. In addition, substantial smoking attributable burden can be avoided by accelerating the pace of smoking elimination. Implementation of the new tobacco control policies are crucial in avoiding smoking attributable burden in the coming decades and to ensure that the gains won over the past 3 decades are not lost. Now for the title and abstract. Does this study identify as a global burden of the disease in the title? Yes, the identification as the global burden of the disease is present in the title. For the abstract, it has a structure, summary, method, result, and a conclusion. The abstract of this study is structure. It shows method, results, and the conclusion. Now I'm going to study in the main points from the article. In the introduction, smoking has accounted for more than 175 million deaths globally over the past 3 decades. Despite substantial progress in reducing smoking prevalence in the many countries, smoking remains a leading risk factor for the preventable mortality and morbidity. More than 1 in 10 global deaths and nearly 142 million years of the life are lost were attributable to smoking in 2021. After the period of accelerated progress following the adoption of the WHO Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, progress has been slowed in the recent year. Renewed efforts are required to overcome the tobacco industry attempts to maintain a market. Countries and organizations around the world have set the goals to reduce smoking prevalence to less than 5% in the coming years. Strategies to reach a tobacco-free future work to eliminate the initiation of tobacco use among youth while steadily phasing out the tobacco use in the adult population. Despite promising policy proposals in some countries, including the UK, the political commitment to implement and enforce a measure which a necessity to realize a tobacco-free future largely remain elusive. With the use of the Institute of the Health Metrics and Evaluation Future Health Scenario platform, we aim to forecast all the cause and the cause-specific years of the life loss for all the countries from 2022 to 2050, as well as the life expectancy gains under these three smoking prevalence scenarios. Now, according to the Gather checklist for objective and fundings, define the indicator population including age, sex, and geographic entities and the time period for which the estimates were made. The study defined the indicator, which include years of the life loss, life expectancy, smoking prevalence, population age 10 and older for smoking prevalence, include both sexes and 204 countries, time period of 1990 to 2021 for the historical data and 2022 to 2050 for the forecast is present on the page number 3. List the funding source for the work. Yes, the study lists the funding source. The funding was done by the Bloomberg Philanthropies and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. It is mentioned on the page number 1. Methods. We use the Future Health Scenario platform to forecast years of the life lost in a 3 smoking prevalence scenario for 204 countries and territories, as well as the 365 disease and injuries by the 5-year age group and sex from 2022 to 2050. In this analysis, we only report the direct effect from the smoking tobacco, which do not include the health effects from the secondhand smokeless tobacco use or the electronic nicotine delivery system. The reference scenario forecast. To forecast smoking prevalence in this scenario, we first obtained current smoking and former smoking prevalence, estimate for every location, sex, 5-year age group, and the year from 1990 to 2019 from GBT 2021. We then use an ensemble model to forecast current and the former smoking prevalence from 2020 to 2050. Briefly, the ensemble model consisted of 6 submodels that use annualized rate of change to forecast the prevalence to 2050 based upon the past smoking trend. Model performance was assessed using a 10-year holder. The final forecast was weighted average of these submodels, with each weighted by the inverse of their root mean squared error. Forecasting framework. We obtain estimate of the independent drivers of the health, including over 70 risk factors, summary exposure values from the global burden of the disease. These independent variables were then forecasted to 2050, mostly using a generalized ensemble model that includes past annual rate of change and relationship with a socio-demographic index to predict the future trends. Smoking scenario definition. We forecast cause-specific and all-cause mortality under 3 scenarios, which we refer as reference scenario, elimination 2023, and elimination 2050 scenario. The reference scenario assumes that the past independent health driver trends and the relationship between the drivers and the health outcome persist into the future. To estimate an upper bound on the effect of reducing smoking prevalence, we constructed the elimination 2023 scenario, under which the past trend persists across all the input except the current smoking prevalence, which is reduced to 0 from 2023 onwards. Finally, we constructed an elimination 2050 scenario under which past trends persist across all the input except smoking prevalence, which is linearly reduced to 5% between 2023 and 2050. For all these scenarios, we use GBT 2021 estimate of the distribution of cigarette equivalent smoke per day and the pack years among current smoker, distribution of years since quitting among former smokers, and cause-specific relative risk estimates for both current and the former smokers. Now, according to the Gather checklist for data inputs, for all the data inputs from the multiple sources that are synthesized as a part of the study, the point 3 of the checklist is to describe how the data were identified and how the data were assessed. Yes, the study describes how the data were identified and assessed. The study utilizes the data from the GPT study 2021. The data used in the study were assessed through the Institute for the Health Metrics and Evaluation Future Health Scenario platform, which integrates past GPT estimate with the forecast model, and it is mentioned on the page number 2. Point 4 is to specify the inclusion and exclusion criteria, identify all the ad hoc exclusion. The study does not explicitly outline the inclusion or exclusion criteria or identify all ad hoc exclusion in detail. Point 5 of the checklist is, does the study provide information on all the including data sources and their main characteristic? For each data source used, report reference information or contact name or institution, population represented, data collection method, years of the data collection, sex and age range, diagnostic criteria or the measurement method, and sample size as relevant. The study mentioned the estimates that are based upon the GBT 2021 data include sex, age, and geographic specific estimates for the population, but the specific like the reference information or the contact name, institution, population represented, data collection method, years of the data collection, diagnostic criteria, or the Measurement method, and the sample size are not exhaustively detailed. Point 6 of the checklist is to identify and describe any categories of the input data that have potentially important bias, like based upon the characteristic which are listed in the item 5. Yes, the study identify and describe categories of the input data that have potentially important biases, and it is mentioned on the page number 11. For data inputs that contribute to the analysis but were not synthesized as a part of the study, Point 7 is describe and give source for any other data inputs. The article mentioned using data from the GBT. However, the study does not explicitly describe or give any source for any other data input that contribute to the analysis but were not synthesized as a part of the study. For all data inputs, the point 8 of the gather checklist is provide all inputs in a file format from which the data can be efficiently extracted, like a spreadsheet rather than a PDF, including all the relevant metadata listed in item 5 for any data input that cannot be shared because of the ethical or the legal reasons, such as the third-party ownership, provide a contact name or the name of the institution that retains the right to the data. No, the article does not directly provide specific data that cannot be shared due to the ethical or the legal reason and does not provide explicit contact information or data inputs in a format such as the spreadsheet for extraction. For data analysis, the point 9 of the gather checklist is to provide a conceptual overview of the data analysis method. A diagram may be helpful. Yes, the study provides a conceptual overview of the data analysis method, like through the forecasting framework and employs the future health scenario platform to project years of the life lost and the life expectancy based upon smoking prevalence. With the ensembling model, it integrates data from the various resources and generate forecasts for the 3 different scenarios: reference scenario, elimination 2023, and elimination 2050, and it is mentioned on the page number 3, although it doesn't include any specific diagram. The point 10 of the checklist is to provide a detailed description of all the steps of the analysis, including the mathematical formula. The description should cover as relevant data cleaning, data processing, and adjustment and weighing of the data sources and mathematical the statistical methods. The study does mention the analytical framework and general methods which are employed for forecasting the health outcome, but the study doesn't provide a detailed description of all the steps of the analysis, including the mathematical formula, like specific details on data cleaning, pre-processing, and adjustment, weighing the data sources, and the exact mathematical or the statistical models which are used in this analysis. Point 11 of the checklist is describe how candidate models were evaluated and how the final models were studied. Yes, this study describes how the candidate models were evaluated and how the final models were selected. The study uses the model performance assessment using a 10-year holdout period. The final forecast for the smoking prevalence was determined as a weight average of these submodels with a weight assigned based upon the inverse of the root mean squared error, and it is mentioned on the page number 4. Point 12 is to provide a result of an evaluation of a model performance if does, as well as the results of any relevant sensitive analysis. This article provides a comprehensive overview of the model performance and sensitive analysis present on the page number 4. Point 13 is to describe methods for calculating uncertainty of the estimate, state which sources of the uncertainty were and were not accounted for in uncertainty analysis. Yes, this article describes methods for calculating the uncertainty of the estimate and identify various sources of the uncertainty. The 95% uncertainty interval of the estimate is based upon 2.5 and 97.5 percentile of these draws. The analysis account for the various uncertainties which are related to the input parameters, including those which are derived from the historical data, modeling assumption, and the forecasting parameters, and it is present on the page number 4. Point 14 is state how analytical or statistical source code used to generate estimate can be assessed. No, the study does not state how the analytical or the statistical source codes used to generate estimates can be assessed. There is no mention of the availability of the source code for the analysis which is conducted in the study. Now, moving towards the result, the study mentioned the result under the 3 subheadings: smoking prevalence forecast, years of the life lost, and the life expectancy at the birth. Results: smoking prevalence forecast. The age standardized prevalence of the current smoking declined globally from 1990 to 2022, from 40.8% to 28.5% among males aged 10 years and older, and from 9.94 to 5.96% among females who are aged 10 years and older. We forecast that decline will continue at a slower pace with an age standardized prevalence of 21.1% among males and 4.18% among females in 2050. A 25.9 and 30% decline in its relative to 2022 respectively. Due to the combination of the population growth, aging, and increase in the prevalence of the former smoking, the number of the former smoker is forecasted to increase by 28.5% by 2050. Compared with 800 million former smokers in 2022, we forecast around 1030 million former smokers in 2050. The number of the former smoker is forecast to increase in most GBT region apart from the Central Europe among males and Eastern Europe, Central Europe, and Western Europe among females. In this region, decline in the population between 2022 and 2050 offset any increase in the former smoking prevalence. The next heading is years of the life lost under the reference scenario. Years of the life lost represent the number of the life years which are lost due to the premature death. Globally, there were around 1020 million years of the life lost among males and 757 million among the females in 2022. Our forecast suggests that a maximum of 2040 million cumulative smoking attributable years of the life loss are theoretically avoidable between 2022 and 2050, with 1700 million years of the life loss avoidable among males and 341 million years of the life loss avoidable among females globally. The GBD region with the greatest number of the avoidable years of the life lost are East Asia and South Asia, with 708 and 385 cumulatively years of the life loss avoidable respectively. Cancer, ischemic heart disease, and the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease account for around 85.2% of avoidable years of the life lost. The lung cancer is responsible for 51.8% of avoidable years of the life lost among males and 62.6% avoidable cancer years of the life lost among females. Even if smoking is globally eliminated, premature death will still occur due to the other drivers such as the air pollution or obesity. Life expectancy at the birth. Global life expectancy has increased between 1990 and 2022 by 7.95 years among males to 71.1 years among females. If smoking were to be eliminated in 2023, the life expectancy would increase to 77.6 among males and 81 years among females in 2050 globally. This corresponds to the 31% among males and 10.4% among females, larger gain in the life expectancy under the elimination 2023 scenario compared with the reference scenario. The GBD region with the largest gain in the life expectancy among males relative to the reference under the elimination 2023 scenario would be East Asia, Eastern Europe, and Central Asia. Moving towards discussion, in this article, we present forecast of the smoking prevalence and resulting years of the life loss and life expectancy to 2050 for a reference scenario and two alternate scenarios. We forecast that 2040 million years of the life will be lost due to smoking between 2020 and 2050, of which 1.70 million or 83% are among the males. Our analysis shows that the population health gains can be achieved by exerting the progress towards a smoking elimination. Increased healthcare spending per capita by the 10% over a 20-year period has been estimated to have improved life expectancy in organization for the economic cooperation and developmental countries by 3.5 months. Increase of 10% income per capita and the primary educational attainment were estimated to improve the life expectancy by 2.2 months and 3.2 months respectively. The limitations. Our analysis has several limitations. We analyze the direct effect of the reduction in smoking prevalence on disease burden. Although we did not quantify them, we anticipate additional health benefits under this scenario in terms of reduction in secondhand smoke exposure. While our analysis considered additional years of the life possible with smoking prevalence reduction, we did not quantify the benefits to the quality of the life which are lived free of the disease. Our forecast model assumed that the age-specific smoking initiation rate, distribution of the cigarette equivalent smoke per day by the current smoker, pack years among the current smoker, and the years since quitting among the former smoker would remain constant into the future. This assumption is consistent with the observed data that smoking intensity is largely stable over the time, even as the prevalence varies. Our alternate scenario only act to reduce smoking prevalence and do not include additional benefits that could be achieved by reduction in smoking intensity. We did not model substitution with the electronic nicotine delivery system and assume that the recent quitters take on the risk profile of the former tobacco smoker, not the current user of the electronic nicotine delivery system. And the data on the tobacco use is self-reported, which is subject to the underreporting and social desirability bias, particularly in the demographic among which the smoking is not socially accepted. Room for the future research. Despite these limitations, analysis represent an important quantification of the health gain which are possible under various smoking prevalence scenario. Further research with a forecast to 2100 encompassing avoidable secondhand smoke burden is needed to generate a more complete understanding of the gains possible with the smoking elimination. Accelerated adoption of the anti-tobacco policy in all the country is needed, and equally exciting existing policy must be maintained to build upon the gains won, which are since the adoption of the framework convention on the tobacco control. Timely action is crucial to ensure that the maximum amount of the health burden is avoided in the coming decades. The last point of the gathered checklist is of the result and discussion. The point 15 is provide published estimate in a file format from which the data can be efficiently extracted. No, this article doesn't provide published estimate in a file format from which the data can efficiently extracted. Point 16 of the checklist is report a quantitative measure of the uncertainty of the estimate like uncertainty interval. Yes, this article reports quantitative measure of the uncertainty for the estimate. It provides 95% uncertainty interval for all the key estimates such as incidence, prevalence, mortality, and the years of the life loss, and it is mentioned on the page number 4. Point 17 is, does the study interpret result in the light of the existing evidence if updating a previous set of the estimate? Describe the reason for the change in the estimate. Yes, this article interprets result in the light of existing evidence and discuss changes in the estimate as mentioned on page 4. And the last point is, does this study discuss limitation of the estimate, including a discussion of any modeling assumption or the data limitation that affect interpretation or the estimate? The article discusses limitation of the estimate and includes a discussion of the modeling assumption and the data limitation, and it is present in the page number 10. The overall strength of the study is it has comprehensive data in the large scope, it has clear goals and the context, it uses reliable data sources, the methods are mentioned in detail, it has presentation of uncertainty and limitations are also discussed in detail. The overall limitation of the study is handling of missing data is not specified, no discussion of inclusion criteria, no mentioning of exclusion criteria or ad hoc exclusion, limited time frame for the full benefits. This is the link to the YouTube channel where this video will be uploaded. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very nice presentation, Dr. Shajia. Would you please go to the point number 17 where the existing evidence is required? Would you please go to the point number 17 of gathered checklist? Yes. Interpret the results in the light of existing evidence. So you have said that, yes, the article interprets results in the light of existing evidence.
Yes.
However, I think, yes, you have to show the page number 4 too, please.
1 second, ma'am.
It is a brilliant presentation, and I am really very much impressed by the amount of evidence, knowledge, and your presentation skills in this session.
Ma'am, this is where I show you.
Right. Where there the evidence is provided?
Ma'am, it was somewhere in this paragraph.
Would you please like to read the important points in this paragraph?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, from here. Many studies have forecasted smoking prevalence in the status quo as well as under various policy scenarios for specific countries. A 2024 report forecast global smoking prevalence to 30.6 among males and 5.7 among females in 2030. Previous studies have also estimated future disease burden from smoking, although these studies typically focus on all causes combined on a small subset of smoking and related causes. As such, did not identify any studies that have estimated the future burden of smoking for all the countries and all the smoking-related health conditions. Added value to the study, our study contributes a comprehensive set of estimate for the future health burden under 3 smoking prevalence for 204 countries and 365 disease and injuries, disaggregated by 5-year age group and 6. Methodically, we have developed a forecasting framework that incorporates smoking prevalence, intensity, duration, and risk reduction from cessation. Furthermore, by leveraging the Institute of the Health Metrics Evaluation and Future Health Scenario platform, our forecasts integrate dynamic change in demographic and other determinants of health.
Very nice. The point is that they have provided the context, and while they are providing the context, they are discussing about 204 countries. We have to add the evidence from Pakistan too. When we are using any critical appraisal method, for any article in our own context, we have to add the evidence from Pakistan. So you should also write about the articles that are published on smoking from Pakistan and how they are contributing to this context. So this point is deficient in your presentation. In future, whenever you are telling about the 17th point of gather checklist, always provide the evidence from your own context, from other sources, from Pakistan, especially from your own country. You must give the evidence that how the things are present and how the evidence is matching with the notion that is presented in the paper.
Yes, ma'am.
Overall, it is a very good presentation, and all the points are brilliantly elaborated, discussed, and even the page numbers are given. Even I was looking at the page number 4, where you have given important again in your gather checklist. You have referred to page number 4 again and again. So this is a very good idea that you have elaborated it with colors on your research article. Please also share this research article where you have highlighted all these points in different colors in the group. So, and give the comment about the point of the gather checklist so that everyone can read it.
Okay, ma'am.
Very well done, Dr. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
And keep it up.
Thank you.
Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz, ma'am.